Greetings, dear subscribers and casual listeners of my channel. Have you ever thought about who Harry Potter's father really was? What if I told you he wasn't the perfect hero many imagine him to be? In today's video, you will find out the shocking truth about James Potter. For Harry, his parents were always a shining ideal, almost like angels in human form. And it makes sense. A boy who lost his family as a baby would naturally idealize them, especially growing up in a home where he was unloved and mistreated by the Dursleys. But what happens if we step away from childhood admiration and look at James Potter objectively? His mother Lily was kind-hearted and selfless, but James, he was far from a saint.
Why did I say this? Let me prove it to you.
James Potter was born into a wealthy, respected wizarding family. Unlike the Malfoys or the Blacks, the Potters weren't obsessed with blood purity, but they still valued their lineage. James, however, broke tradition by marrying Lily, a Muggle-born witch, something his ancestors never did. At Hogwarts, James became a Gryffindor, excelling in Quidditch and surrounding himself with a close-knit group of friends: Sirius Black, Remus Lupin, and Peter Pettigrew. He was popular, talented, and full of confidence. He passed his exams effortlessly, relying more on natural ability than hard work. After Hogwarts, he and his friends joined the Order of the Phoenix, fighting against Voldemort. He faced the Dark Lord multiple times, always escaping with his life until the fateful night when Voldemort came for his son. That night, James was the first to fall. But was he really the noble hero everyone remembers? The truth is, James Potter had flaws that cannot be ignored. He was a troublemaker. At school, James and his friends were notorious pranksters. They caused mischief, spied on classmates, and pulled stunts that often went too far. Even Lily found him arrogant and immature at first. He was arrogant. James took pride in his skills and pure-blood heritage. He never had to struggle for anything, and he wasn't shy about reminding others of that. He even mocked Vernon Dursley, Lily's sister's husband, for his Muggle interests. He bullied Severus Snape. And here's the biggest stain on his legacy: the relentless bullying of Severus. James humiliated him in front of the entire school, knowing full well that Severus was deeply in love with Lily. James Potter's arrogance wasn't just a phase. He built his reputation on being the untouchable golden boy of Hogwarts. Talented, charming, and fearless, he had everything handed to him on a silver platter. His natural ability in magic made him stand out, but instead of using it wisely, he often used it for his own amusement. His biggest flaw was his treatment of Severus Snape. From the moment they met on the Hogwarts Express, James decided Snape was beneath him. Perhaps it was because Snape was poor, perhaps because he was different, or maybe because he sensed that Snape had feelings for Lily. Whatever the reason, James made him a target. Along with Sirius, he turned every day at school into a challenge for Snape. They hexed him, humiliated him, and treated him like nothing more than a plaything for their entertainment. One of the worst moments was the infamous incident by the Black Lake. James dangled Snape upside down in front of a crowd of students, exposing him to public humiliation. Snape tried to fight back, but James was always one step ahead, always stronger, always surrounded by his loyal friends. The worst part: he did it right in front of Lily. She was the only person who had ever shown Snape kindness, and James made sure to crush whatever respect she might have had for him. Lily, of course, was disgusted. She openly called James out for his arrogance, saying he thought he was better than everyone else. But James, instead of feeling guilt, only smirked and brushed it off. To him, it was a game. Snape was the loser and James was the victor. This raises an uncomfortable question. Was James really any better than the bullies he would later fight against? The wizarding world loves to paint him as a hero who stood up to Voldemort, but in his school years he acted like a mini-tyrant himself. Of course people change. By the time James left Hogwarts, he had grown up, at least on the surface. He finally won over Lily, proving to her that he was no longer the same arrogant boy who bullied others for fun. But had he truly changed, or did he just learn how to hide his flaws? Even after school, James still surrounded himself with people just like him. Sirius Black, his best friend, was reckless and impulsive. Together they made a dangerous combination. Two wizards who thought they were invincible, who played by their own rules, and who didn't care about the consequences of their actions. One of the most tragic consequences of James's arrogance was his blind trust in the wrong people. He was so confident in his own judgment that he made a fatal mistake, choosing Peter Pettigrew as the secret keeper for his family. At the time, it must have seemed like a clever move. No one would suspect Peter, the least powerful of their group, to hold such an important secret. But James underestimated people. He underestimated Peter's cowardice, his weakness, his hunger for survival. In the end, Peter betrayed them all. He handed James and Lily over to Voldemort, and in a matter of minutes, their perfect world was shattered. James, who had spent his whole life believing he was untouchable, faced death unarmed. No wand, no duel, no final heroic stand, just a desperate, futile attempt to hold off the Dark Lord while his wife and child tried to escape. Some might say this was proof that James had changed. He died protecting his family after all. But maybe this was just another example of his recklessness. Why hadn't he insisted on being his own secret keeper? Why had he been so sure that he could outsmart fate? The truth is, James Potter was not a bad person. He was brave, he was loyal, and he fought for the right side. But he was also deeply flawed. He was arrogant, he was cruel when it suited him, and he never had to face the consequences of his actions until it was too late. Harry grew up hearing only the best about his father. Everyone told him James was a hero, a great man, someone to be proud of. But when he saw the memory of James tormenting Snape, it shook him to his core. How could the man he had admired be capable of such cruelty? It forced Harry to see his father as something more than just a legend. Maybe that's the real lesson of James Potter's story. People are not just good or bad. Even heroes have flaws, and sometimes